Welcome to Heat Checks and Hail Marys. This is Mike Kegley. We go to Heat Check and Hail Mary number 3. We're going to talk a couple minutes here about Deadpool and Wolverine, which is a fantastic movie. Now, I'm going to have to give you a caveat on that. If you decide to go see the movie based on this, which I don't think is going to happen very often, but if it does, remember this movie is bloody. It's pretty gross in both humor and sight gags, and it has just horrible language. Now, if you have no issues with that, then head out to the theater because you will not be disappointed. Ryan Reynolds is a creative genius, and I can only imagine that people who are in Hollywood, if they have the opportunity to work for him, I don't know why you would ever turn down that call. I might even, if I was under contract to be at a movie, I might just say, you know what? I'm taking a sick day. I don't care if it costs me $10,000. If I can do a cameo in a Ryan Reynolds movie, I'm going to be there. So, Ryan, if you're watching this, I'm available. Now it's time for spoiler alerts. If you haven't seen it yet, here's going to be a few spoilers. So, if you're going to go, you stop listening. If you've already been, then you'll have to see if you agree with me. First thing there are some incredible cameos to look for. I'm going to list a few of them that I liked. Henry Cavill was fantastic. Now, I liked his Superman character as him playing it. I thought he had to deal with some of the worst written Superman characters, but I thought he did a great job with what he was given. So having him in this was fun. I thought the throwback usage of Chris Evans, particularly his scene at the end of the movie in the credits, was spectacular. Chris Evans can act. The guy is not just Captain America. He can do other things. And he was fantastic in this throwback role. I also thought the comic height Wolverine was hilarious. Now, Hugh Jackman's around 6'2". In the comic books, Wolverine's really 5'3". So there's just one scene where they show Wolverine at that height. It was fantastic. Well worth watching. We also got to see Hulk versus Wolverine. Now, many people don't realize the first time that Wolverine ever appeared in comic books was in the pages of The Incredible Hulk. And so they had a little throwback to that. Fantastic. Or maybe I should say incredible. They also had innovative use of the 20th Century Fox logo. 20th Century Fox used to own the X-Men and the Fantastic Four rights. So those movies were made by 20th Century Fox, not really Marvel Productions. So they have a great usage of that logo in the movie. Just be looking for it. It was pretty cool. We also got to see John Byrne's brown Wolverine costume on Hugh Jackman. Byrne is arguably the best comic book writer artist of all time. There's a ton of comic book writers and there's a ton of comic book artists, and there's a few of them who are extremely talented. Jack Kirby, Walt Simonson, and others who can do both the writing and the artwork. And Byrne is my favorite of all time. And this was his Wolverine costume. It was spectacular as well. And trust me, there's a lot of other ones. I don't want to ruin them for you, but you have to keep your eyes out because there's cameo after cameo, or there's little Easter eggs throughout the movie that you can look for. Now, one of the arguments that you hear at the end of the movie is Deadpool and Wolverine are technically not part of what they call the sacred Marvel timeline. Now, for those people who watch Marvel movies, if you're watching the Marvel ones made by Disney, those movies happen on Earth number 616. Now, that just happens to be the number that they use for the real Marvel that we're watching in the movies. That's called the sacred timeline because it's the original. It appears that Deadpool and Wolverine are still back in their offshoot universe at the end of the movies. I think that's the way it's going to be. Some people say, well, then you wasted our time because you didn't bring them into the Marvel universe. I don't think that was the point of what Marvel was trying to do. It seems to me that Marvel was trying to accomplish with this movie was trying to reinforce what a multiverse is. It's been talked about in other movies. And obviously, we had Avengers Endgame, you had Doctor Strange. What happens when time travel creates other timelines has been a bit hazy. Endgame talked about it a little bit. And I think what they were trying to do was basically fold in the multiverse with the time variance authority. And by introducing the time variance authority, these are the people who monitor time travel and then the resulting timelines that happen when you change time. It helps your general viewer understand the implications of time travel. Now, the Time Variance Authority, or TVA, was introduced in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, which like nobody watched. Okay. So nobody knows about it. And then it became the feature of two Loki series on Disney in 2021 and 2023. It's well worth, if you're going to subscribe to Disney, watch those two series first because they really are the basis for a lot of the things that are happening in the Marvel universe on the screen right now. But I think the Time Variance Authority and their function to monitor various timelines and even prune timelines if those timelines are too dangerous to the rest of the multiverse. I think understanding what they do is really important for understanding the alternate realities that we're seeing in the movies. And since nobody watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and probably a smaller number of people subscribed to Disney's streaming service, this is what I thought a big part of Deadpool and Wolverine was to introduce this to the general populace in a huge movie. And of course, Deadpool and Wolverine, with their numbers in terms of tickets sold, that is a great idea to make it a little bit more understandable for people who are very casual fans. And the neat thing they did is in Deadpool and Wolverine is they did it in a show don't tell fashion that was both explanatory for what the TVA does and fun to watch. That's much better than a 20-minute exposition where two characters talk to one another and fill everybody in on it. That's the dreaded tell, don't show that makes for really boring movies. So I think they were trying to introduce people to that multiverse timelines and what happens when you go back in time and screw with stuff and how there's different realities. This also opens the door for more Deadpool and Wolverine adventures, whether they're in their own reality, which is called Earth 10,005. That's essentially the Fox movie universe, or whether later on we'll understand how they pulled them in to the Marvel universe because this movie gave us the foundation for that. And a huge tip of the hat has to go to artist Walt Simonson, who was one of those gentlemen I talked about as a writer artist. He created the TVA and it came out in October 1986 in a Thor comic, number 372, for those of you who collect. He set this up and he invented the TVA and it started monitoring the Marvel universe all those years ago. And then someone astutely decided to bring it into the movies to help create some order out of the chaos. This same feature was mirrored a little bit by Star Trek when they did their Department of Temporal Investigations, which came out in November of 1996 when Deep Space Nine with Commander Captain Sisko went back in time and they were dumped into the original series Trouble with Tribbles episode. And you got to see two Star Trek crews back and forth with one another using special effects. And you will see the Department of Temporal Investigations in future Star Trek on your Paramount Plus app. Walt Simonson may not have invented this, but his thoughts and premises have had a huge influence in pop culture. All in all, Deadpool and Wolverine, it was an excellent movie. And they've raised the level of breaking the fourth wall when you actually have characters talk to the audience to an art form. And they generally use that to mock the superhero genre in most cases, or decisions made by studio executives in the past. And it's a lot of fun. If you want to go to a movie that's got a lot of laughs, a little bit of gross out, some very good and graphic humor, this is a fantastic movie. Don't take it too seriously, but it is a 4.5 out of 5. Go there, enjoy it, and prepare to laugh. With that, we will see you next time